Today is a historic moment where, for the first time, a federal leader commits to ceding federal tax room to First Nations governments so that they can take back control of their money. This is consistent with the achievement of Manny's father, Clarence Jules, who successfully convinced the Mulroney government to allow First Nations reserves to collect their own property taxes. Now we are going to take that further by allowing First Nations to collect federal corporate taxes. For hundreds of years, First Nations have suffered under a broken colonial system that takes power away from their communities and places it in the hands of politicians in Ottawa. The racist and unfair Indian Act hands over all reserve land and money to the federal government. This means that First Nations have to go to Ottawa to ask for their tax revenues collected from resources on their land. This outdated system puts power in the hands of bureaucrats, politicians, and lobbyists, not First Nations. The direct result of the Ottawa Knows Best approach has been poverty, substandard infrastructure and housing, and unsafe drinking water and despair. The solution is the one that the great Manny Jules has presented with the guidance of these leaders here today. And we have listened, and it is the First Nations resource charge. This is a First Nations-led solution to a made-in-Ottawa problem. First Nations and the First Nations Tax Commission developed the plan, brought it to Conservatives, and today I announce that we have accepted it. This optional model, and it is optional, so any First Nation that chooses not to use this model will be able to stick with existing arrangements. This optional model will simplify negotiations between resource companies and First Nations so that we don't have to waste years and years and years on new negotiations, reinventing the wheel every single time there's a new proposal. It will create a simple model that allows the business to pay tax directly to the First Nations and receive a 50% refundable tax credit to do it. I want to thank you for the 50-cent handshake. It's interesting that the tax credit that you designed, Chief Jules, is a 50% tax credit. So 50 cents of every dollar paid will go directly to the First Nation government under your arrangement, which we have accepted. This will not preclude any community from continuing to use other existing arrangements, such as impact benefit agreements. It does respect the duty to consult found in the Constitution, and it upholds all treaty rights. Putting First Nations back in control of their money and letting them bring home the benefits of resource development will get faster buy-in for good projects to go ahead. In other words, more earnings for grassroots First Nations communities, not Ottawa gatekeepers. Those earnings will mean paychecks, schools, clean water, hospitals, and other wonderful opportunities. Only common sense Conservatives will fight for real economic reconciliation by supporting First Nations taking back control of their money and their lives. In conclusion, I want to thank the many leaders around this table and honor the thousands and thousands of years of ancestral history that you bring to this table. It has been said that there is a contract between the dead, the living, and the yet to be born, those that were, those that are, and those that will be. No Canadian can match the incredible longevity of the ancestral and cultural traditions that all of you bring to this table. I can only trace my ancestry back a few generations. You can trace it back thousands of years. And today you are bringing those many millennia of accumulated wisdom to this table. I believe that you have all the wisdom to make your own decisions and to run your own lives. I am but your humble servant, and I am honored to be here to serve with you today.